So I just wanted to say I am a fan of Taylor Lorenz. I'm a big fan of Taylor Lorenz. I think of her primarily her Twitter personality, her Twitter account. She used to write for the New York Times. She was a writer for the New York Times, and now she was a journalist for the New York Times, and now she's a columnist slash journalist for the Washington Post. You can find Taylor Lorenz, her content, her work on the Washington Post at this point, and you could read her old stories on New York Times, but her new stories are on Washington Post newspaper on the website or whatever. I primarily read her on Twitter. Um, what I know most about Taylor Lorenz is her tweets, and I've learned so much about Twitter and all of social media from Taylor Lorenz's tweets. And she's so intelligent, and a lot of people try to bash her. Like I think it was Tucker Carlson went on like a crazy binge one time, or I don't know if it's called binge or unhinged or whatever the phrase is called, but where he just attacked Taylor Lorenz, and it's I find it amazing how much people attack Taylor Lorenz, and they're like because a lot of it, like, she has so much information she spreads about how social media works. I think it like offends people, like I've all the information she's conveying, and it's a lot of information pretty quickly, and like the world is changing so fast with social media that it's almost like people can't even process it, and she helps them process it, but they get mad at her. But what they're really mad at is social media. What they're really mad at is how the world is changing, and she's just explaining what's going on, and how fast the world is changing. And a lot of people who still want to be riding around in steamboats or sailboats or whatever don't realize we've got, high speed cars and planes at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like the technology is changing, and a lot of people are a little bit hesitant about the technology. And I think Taylor is she's maybe I've probably read her now on Twitter for since about 2007. So eight, 2017, 2018, 19, and 20. 21, 22. So I've read her on Twitter for like 5 years now. I joined Twitter after Donald Trump won the presidency in 2017. At the beginning of 2017, I joined Twitter. The reason I joined Twitter was because I realized how powerful it was that Donald Trump was able to leverage this platform to win the presidency. He tweeted so much more than Hillary Clinton did. He tweeted so much more than all his competitors did, and he was so I don't like Donald Trump. I disagree with him. I think he's a terrible person. But he was so authentic with his tweeting, and it's such a powerful thing that he was able to tweet like that. And I thought that was amazing that Donald Trump was able to tweet like that, and that won him the presidency. And that made me think, wow, Twitter is really powerful. And made me and that's why I joined Twitter as soon as Trump won the election, because I realized I used to use forums and stuff for online communication. I've always used a lot of online communication before, but I thought Twitter was a fad. I used to think Twitter was a fad. Honestly, I thought all of social media was a fad. I thought Facebook was going to go away. I thought YouTube was going to go away. I thought all this stuff was going to go away. And YouTube still might go away. TikTok might usurp YouTube. A lot of these platforms get usurped by other platforms in a couple of years. Like MySpace was usurped by Facebook. And a lot of these platforms are usurped by things very, very quickly. And what Taylor Lorenz does is she reports how quickly the things change. And it's a very powerful time in social media. And I wish I could leverage this power, this control of the content in a way that could make me money. I wish I could understand how the system works, how the art form works, so that I could make money, so that I could be a professional YouTuber. A lot of times I tweet or I use Instagram or whatever. I follow people on Instagram, and they go to my YouTube channel after that, or I tweet and then they go to my YouTube channel after I tweet. And the more content I create, just like Gary Vee says, the more content I create, the more they go to my YouTube channel. And the more you spread the word, the more people will hear. And it's important to talk about things like that. And 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 Taylor Lorenz had a really good tweet this morning. She was saying how the New York Times' new policy about social media is a lot more restrictive to its reporters, and how um, it doesn't realize that people use social media for dating. People use Twitter for dating. People use Twitter for, personal things. Like people use Twitter for a lot of different things, and like that's what the New York Times doesn't get. Like that, like New York Times putting restrictions on what its reporters can do on Twitter. It doesn't realize that Twitter is a lot more important to people's lives than just some, news updating service. Twitter is not just some news updating service, and a lot of these news companies, and a lot of companies in general, are behind the curve about the power of social media and about how important it is to just spend time on there and be yourself and be the person you want to be. And I think Taylor really helps people. She had a really good tweet this morning. She had a really good tweet every day, but today was especially a good tweet. I even saw her flirting with a guy or guys before on Twitter, and I'm like looking at it. She's like in public. She's like this public person, but she's like flirting with guys on Twitter. Like that's so cool. That's so cool that a reporter is just flirting with people out in public like that. Like she's so proud. She's so confident of herself that she's willing to do that. And it's just like it makes me want to flirt with more people online too. But I have to be careful how I do as a guy because I don't want to be like a reply guy, and I don't want to just flirt with every random girl on there on Twitter or whatever. I don't want to harass people. That's another thing is if you reply to too many people's tweets or you talk too much on Twitch or Instagram or whatever, it can be considered harassment. And I really do believe harassment is a serious problem. And I think that people need to consider people need to consider what is the right thing to do when you're communicating online or in person or whatever. And that's why I generally like when people come to me from a social perspective because I don't I don't I don't want to be considered harassment if I'm a little bit too, like, I would never ask one of my coworkers out, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't ask one of my coworkers out because I don't want to harass my coworkers. It's better for a girl to ask out a guy than a guy to ask out a girl because when a girl asks out a guy, it's it's seen as more feminist. It's the feminist ideal is if a girl asks out a guy. That's the feminist ideal. So that's where the way the world is moving forward. That's why in Bumble, you the girl talks to the guy, and when Tinder, the guy talks to the girl. Well, on Tinder it could go either way, but Bumble, it's specifically the girl starts the conversation. That's the way the world is moving forward. And back to Taylor Swift. I said Taylor Swift. Back to Taylor Lorenz. A lot of the things she's worried about is harassment, and a lot of, and then that's why I bring this up. This this trains of harassment that she encounters on a daily basis, and the New York Times' new policy doesn't really help that, and it almost hinders these harassment campaigns that people like Taylor Lorenz or other reporters have to face on a daily basis. And a lot of companies like the New York Times don't understand that, and that's what she was tweeting about today. Is the new policy doesn't help reporters; it actually hurts reporters because the New York Times, all they care about is the New York Times. All they care about is all they care about is having a becoming the best newspaper in the world. But there's a lot more. There's a lot more to the world than just creating a great newspaper. There's a lot more complexity to life than just creating great newspaper. These people have social lives. These people have personal lives. You can't restrict people's Twitter usage to just this or that. So I think Taylor Lorenz is really important. She sheds a light on these important issues, and a lot of people get mad at her because she's maybe too progressive. I don't think she's too progressive, but a lot of people, some people think she's too progressive. I don't think she's too progressive, but some people think she's too progressive, or some people think she's pushing the technology in weird directions. But she's not the one pushing the technology. All she's doing is reporting what's going on in the technology. And she recently left the New York Times for the Washington Post. It's funny because I think the New York Times felt like they owned her, and they felt like the New York Times felt like they made Taylor Lorenz. But the thing is, Taylor Lorenz really made the New York Times. Taylor Lorenz put the New York Times on a map, and she can do the same thing for Washington Post. She can make the Washington Post bigger than it is right now. I need a haircut. This hair, I need to cut this hair off because this is just it's pointing out. This little thing here, I need to trim this, or I can't even put my finger on it, but it's a little too bushy. It just, yeah, it's not right. But so Taylor Lorenz, she does an important job in talking about social media. and it's important that that people talk about the things that she talks about. That's why I'm talking about how much I'm a fan of her. She's really pretty too. Not to try to flirt with her, but it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm working on. It's not like I'm Chris Matthews working on MSNBC and I'm like flirting with the reporter. This is my YouTube channel. There's no rules about who I can compliment. Look, I can compliment anybody's looks I want because this is my YouTube channel. I'm not working for MSNBC. I'm not a reporter. I don't have to keep this professional. I can do whatever I want. I set the rules. I set the rules on the channel. Is it a little bit offensive to compliment somebody on their looks? Yeah, it is offensive because then it's reducing them down to what they look like and not what they say. So that's why I spent about nine and a half minutes complimenting Taylor on what she has to say, and then I spent about a minute talking about how I have a crush on her. So I don't mind. I don't mind admitting I have a crush on a girl on the TV, on a girl on the social media. I don't mind admitting that because I think that takes a level of confidence to admit that um, that's something that I want to convey. I want to project. So that's what I think about Taylor Lorenz. I think she's great. I think she's moving the ball forward. She's moving social media in the right direction, moving the world in the right direction. And I think you should follow Taylor Lorenz on Twitter. She shares her articles she writes in the Washington Post. If you ever want to click on her articles to support her job, but just follow her on Twitter, and honestly, she's got to be in the top 10 most interesting people I follow on Twitter. I'm not saying she's the most interesting person I follow on Twitter, but I think she's in the top 10. There's other people who are about as interesting as her, but she's one of the best. I follow about 400 people on Twitter, and I want to increase that number. But I think Taylor is one of the most interesting people I follow on Twitter, and you should follow her too if you like technology. If you like technology and you like social media, you should follow Taylor Lorenz because you'll learn so much about it. Oh my God, I've learned so much about TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff just from following her on Twitter. It's so educational for me, and she's one of the biggest people on the platform. That's why people get mad at her because she's so powerful. She's conveying all this information, and people get mad at her for no reason. Anyways, um, I think that's all I have to say about that. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about Taylor Lorenz? Do you follow her on Twitter like I do? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about her? Please subscribe to this channel to be part of the community. And please like this video. It really helps the channel out a lot. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.